No one is talking about this as early projections have the San Jose Sharks drafting at the #1 overall selection. In this video, we're going to break down the top prospects heading into the 2025 NHL draft and who we may see Mike Grier and the San Jose Sharks select at the #1 position. So you're not going to want to miss this episode of Sharks Digest. But before we get into it, we got to say we're on the road for 1,000 subscribers before the Four Nation tournament kicks off. So if you're a big Sharks fan, you want to stay up to date on the latest Sharks news, trade updates, rumors, prospect updates, we're going to have it all covered for you here at Sharks Digest. So make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But let's just jump right into it. Early odds on predictions have the San Jose Sharks drafting #1 at the 2025 NHL draft. And the top 4 prospects that could go #1 have been released, starting with the odds-on favorite here in Matthew Scaefer out of the Erie Otters in the OHL. He is a 6'1", 183-pound left-handed defenseman. He did suffer a broken collarbone at the recent World Junior Championship, but that hasn't affected his draft odds at all. They say here he's a complete player. He plays fast. He transitions the puck in the offensively and works to kill plays in the defensive zone. He's more of a high-skill two-way defenseman here. They say he's a relentless competitor, has hockey sense to be used in all situations. An elite top-pairing NHL defenseman is on the horizon here. Another scout went on to say here, they described him as a left-shot Drew Doughty, and they say EP's Cam Robinson, elite prospects, took a survey of 10 NHL scouts and executives during the World Juniors, and 7 of them pegged Scaefer as their #1. Fans of the San Jose Sharks will definitely know how impactful a player like Drew Doughty can be. So they got Matthew Scaefer here pegged as the next Drew Doughty, and obviously, as Sharks fans, we know how good of a defenseman that guy is, like they say here in this article. So if we can have a guy like that on this team, man, that would be great to see. But so far as a defenseman, like we said, he did suffer that injury, so he has only played 17 games this season. He has 22 points as a defenseman. That's over a point per game, 7 goals, 15 of them being assists. And right now, he is the consensus #1 overall pick for this 2025 NHL draft. And I think this would be a great pick for Mike Grier because we got the offensive guys. We got the forwards like Will Smith, Zetterlund, Macklin Celebrini, all these young guys coming up through the system and playing in the NHL right now. That we still have Sam Dickinson to see, who is playing in the OHL right now, but having another defenseman that is such a highly touted defenseman that a lot of scouts are pegging him to be a generational defenseman, an elite top pairing defenseman, I think that's a great pickup by Mike Grier. If we end up getting the #1 selection this year, this is the guy to go for. Yes, it's a small sample size this season, but over his entire OHL career, this guy has looked good, and if it wasn't for him suffering that broken collarbone, this guy would probably be the top defenseman in the OHL right now, probably in the entire Canadian Hockey League in general. So this is great for the San Jose Sharks because they already have Sam Dickinson, who we know is going to be a great defenseman for this team. So now going out, possibly selecting Matthew Scaefer here, this would be great because then you have 2 elite pairing defensemen potentially in your ranks. And now after getting rid of guys like Ferraro and guys like, or not Ferraro yet, but guys like Ceci, this will be able to fill the hole here, and we still suspect Ferraro is going to be on the move. So getting these younger guys in and having that space open up where they can get some opportunity, where we could potentially see a Sam Dickinson come over this year. And I won't say we see Scaefer right away. Potentially we could, depending on how good of a training camp he did have if he was selected with the San Jose Sharks. But I do like this pickup. I think defensemen are hard to come by, especially elite level ones that are compared to Drew Doughty here. So if we get the #1 pick, I wouldn't be surprised if Matthew Scaefer is the guy that Grier goes out to select. But there are some other guys that we got to dive into here, and the first one being James Hagen from Boston College. They say here he filled the spot of Will Smith's center role when he left and came to the Sharks last year. They say He's flanked by two high NHL prospects like Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault. In his last 10 games, he produced 3 goals, 5 assists, averaged 18 minutes time on ice, and all of his time on ice comes at even strength on the power play. They say he has an elite offensive upside. He's an above-average skater. He's a threat to create off the rush. He leans playmaker more than shooter, but a top-line NHL player is on the horizon. He also represented Team USA at the World Juniors, where he had 5 goals, 4 assists in 7 games. So, 9 points in 7 games at the World Juniors is a pretty good shooting clip for James Hagen here. And as we go on, another scout said he's a 5'11" center who has taken Will Smith's spot at Boston College, obviously, and he's also been in consideration to go first overall back to last year. So it's him and Matthew Scaefer that are kind of battling it out right now. One scout told Robinson that the USA star is a strong top 6 center who can take a lot of plays and be responsible in his own end. And if we just take a look here so far this year at Boston College, he has 6 goals, 21 assists for 27 points in 24 games. And in the World Juniors, like we said, he had 9 points there in 7 games. So it's good to see this. Honestly, a good battle for the first overall pick. A draft where a lot of scouts are calling it not deep. So having such high talent at the front of this, where the San Jose Sharks are going to be selecting, is definitely a good option, because we do have a lot of forwards, a lot of young forwards coming up. Like I mentioned, Will Smith, Celebrini, all these Eklund, all these guys we have right now. So maybe Grier's like, hey, maybe we don't need a forward. Maybe we go with Matthew Scaefer, but maybe they want to continue building this. Maybe they're saying, hey, we took Sam Dickinson. Maybe we should move away from picking a defenseman this year and go out and get a forward. But I think Mike Grier is always high on picking the best available at the position. So if they get the number 1, Matthew Scaefer is most likely the odds-on pick to get him. But James Hagen isn't a bad second pick here. I think this guy could be a great center. And like they said, he leans more playmaker than shooter here. So if you get him on a line with a Zetterlund or one of these goal scorers that we have on our team, like a Tyler Toffoli, not saying he might not be here with the team next year, but it would be cool to see him drafted and get another forward in the ranks. I know we have a lot coming up, but I do like this pick out of them here. But moving on to my favorite prospect in this entire pool, that's Michael Missa out of the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL. He's 6 foot, 184, and they say here obviously he continues to dominate the OHL in scoring. They say he's a threat off the rush who is equal parts shooter, distributor, and has speed and commitment to track back 200 feet to assist defensively. So this guy's a high upside offense, two-way forward, which is why I really like Michael Missa. And they say, like Hagen's, he's a first-line NHL upside and will challenge for the second overall draft slot come June. So a lot of scouts here are pegging Missa to not even nudge the number 1 spot. But if we just keep going on him here, now they say obviously he's 6'1", he's an all-around offensive threat. His goal-scoring prowess has been on display this season, and as Steven Ellis on Daily Faceoff said, what a shot, what a player post his World Junior Championships. Ellis had him going number 4 in the 2025 draft, and he hasn't disappointed this season with the Saginaw Spirit. Yeah, that's right. You're seeing 2 points per game out of Michael Missa here at 88 points in 44 games, 40 goals, 48 assists. Yes, that is not a typo. We are reading that right. Michael Missa is the guy. If I'm Mike Grier and I have the number 1 pick, I think Michael Missa is the guy you go for here. I know it's another center. I know it's another forward, but this is a Mitch Marner type player. A guy who can go out there, get the points, but can also play penalty kill, can also track back, help on the defensive side of the ice. He's a 200-foot player, and that's what you love to see if you're Mike Grier and the San Jose Sharks. You have a lot of high offensive upside forwards right now, but Michael Missa has that and more, and I think this is the guy, if I'm the Sharks, I'm going to get, because you don't see a player come around like this every day, and yes, you can make that case for Matthew Scaefer, you can make that case for James Hagen, but I do like Michael Missa the most out of all the draft selections we're talking about here today. Obviously, having 88 points in 44 games is obviously great to hear to your ears, but, you know, it all depends on what Mike Grier wants here. Does he want a defenseman? Does he want a forward? If you're leaning defense, obviously you're going to take Scaefer. But if you're leaning forward, I'm taking Michael Missa over James Hagen right now. Yes, I know the numbers are higher in the OHL than they would be in Boston College, and Hagen's having a great season. I'm not saying that. I just think Michael Missa for the Sharks team right now is a great fit. I think he could be easily slide in third line center right now in his first year in the league and go out there and be successful. I definitely think that, and I hope that we get Michael Missa here. But there is one more guy that we're going to talk about today, and if you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you guys know I love big power forwards, and that's who we're talking about today in Porter Martone, out of the Brampton Steelheads in the OHL. He's 6'2", 208, and he obviously his combination of size and skill make him one of the top prospects right now. He's equal parts shooter and distributor in the offensive zone. Martone averages around 20 minutes of ice time a night, which that's high ice time for a forward. Definitely stays used in all situations at the pro level. The majority of his ice time will come at even strength. The power play, his role is undefined with Team Canada at the World Juniors. Obviously, we've seen him play in that tournament. Maybe it wasn't the best tournament for Porter Martone, but I think this guy... everybody has a bad World Juniors. It just happens. We've seen guys like Easton Cowan, who is lighting up the OHL as well for the Toronto Maple Leafs, have a bad World Juniors. So I think the World Juniors it's easy to make a name for yourself there, but it is, a place where you can go and maybe not be as successful as a lot of people thought going into this. And I do like him, and as we see here, he's 6'3", power forward winger. Ellis had him higher than Missa in his mock 2025 draft, describing him as a Matthew Tkachuk type of player. Simply, he plays a physical game and scores goals. And if we just take a look at Porter Martone, yes, 38 games, 23 goals, 44 assists, 67 points for the big guy here. I like this pick. I think it's a winger that the San Jose Sharks could need, and I love these power forward type players. I think that it's a dying art in the league right now, so having a young guy coming up who is like that and is gritty, like a Matthew Tkachuk, can get under the opponent's skin, but also go out, score an overtime winner, score a game-winning goal, is what you need. And it's like I said, it's a dying art. We are not seeing many Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk, Brendan Gallagher type players come into the league today, but Porter Martone is one of them. So if San Jose loses the draft ladder and they drop down a spot, I think Porter Martone could be on the list here, and I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year he gets higher on this draft list and maybe jumps a Michael Missa, maybe jumps a James Hagen, because this guy is an exceptional player. He can get it done on the offensive side, but he can also get it done on the physical, mental side, getting into the opponent's head. So there's a lot of crazy prospects coming up in this draft this season, and I think Mike Grier is going to have a tough decision come draft day. Do you go after the top consensus number one in Matthew Scaefer, or do you maybe take a shot on a Michael Missa? I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're Mike Grier, you got the first overall selection. Who are you taking? Let us know down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we're on the road for 1,000 subscribers here before the Four Nations face-off. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to down below hit that subscribe button. But as always, I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.